Welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show, where we believe that growth could come in many forms: professional, personal, company, sales, you name it. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, founder of Transcendent Sales Solutions and a guide to a world of growth possibilities. I've spent my career empowering companies and their people with strategies that accelerate growth. I'm here to bring you stories of these business leaders and their trusted advisors to gain insights into their journeys and learn how they fuel their own growth. Just maybe their journey could become part of your own growth story. Are you ready? Let's grow. Welcome to the next edition of the Growth Catalyst Show. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney. My next guest, Mark McKenzie, is the owner and partner of Documax Digital Printing. Since 1975, Documax Digital Printing and the McKenzie brothers have provided experience and expertise in custom to small, mid-run printing, copying, kitting, and fulfillment to national accounts and metro Atlanta businesses. Mr. Mayor, Mark McKenzie, welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that quality introduction, and I appreciate your vote in the next election.
That's right. That's right. Well, we'll get into politics later. We probably won't. So, it's not. So, I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the past several months. And, I love the opportunity to learn more about you. And so tell me, where did it all start?
So I have a very large family. I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters. And my father was an accountant with Grant Thornton out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And he needed a way to get his children off his payroll. So he bought a quick print franchise in Atlanta, Georgia. And after we would graduate high school, he would ship us to Atlanta to work in the family business. And they were out. My father, a partner, and my uncle were absentee owners, and basically we were the worker bees for their business. But it allowed us to leave home, save money for college, and then we were allowed to go back home and live at home as long as we were going to school. If we weren't in college, we basically had to go out and fend for ourselves. And I fell in love with printing. I went back to Colorado for a couple of years to take printing at a tech school and Pikes Peak Technical College, and learned graphic arts and printing. And then I came back in. I bought into the family business in 1977. Or 78, excuse me. In 1978, I bought into the family business. My 2 brothers and I had bought out the partner that was in the business with my uncle. And in 1990, we bought out my uncle, and the brothers and I have basically owned and operated Documax Digital Printing since then. We were a quick print franchise for 22 years, got out of the franchise, and changed our name to Documax.
Well, your father was a wise man because versus opening up a law firm, he opened up a print shop to get everybody in the family business. He'd probably still be paying it off, right?
He would be.
If he had a family of 9 lawyers, could you imagine that?
Yeah, it's a challenge. So, but growing up, you learn how to share. A large family like that, you learn how to share. You also learn how to be responsible for each other and those you're surrounded by. So, good lessons. I wouldn't change it for the world. I do work with my family. We've had struggles over the years, but we've hired people to come in and help us figure it out. And we, as I tell people, we work in an adult working environment. Family is family, but business is business. And at the end of the day, you have to do your job. If you don't do your job, the brothers will get rid of you.
And family businesses are tough. I mean, I worked for my brother, 30 plus years ago, and we didn't work together very long, and because the dynamic was different. Again, we were younger, and there was we worked together very closely now on other projects and things, but working with family, and I've seen it in my trails, is difficult in family business.
It is, but I think that have the separation of duties, know what you're supposed to do as part of your job, Also having a respect for the other members and their jobs. I mean,
Mhm.
that's part of it is I can't go in and tell my brother who manages production, I need this job done now, and you got to do it. Uh, his job is to make sure all our customers are taken care
Yeah.
of.
One of the fascinating things I loved right before we started the show, I asked you, what's your title? Because it just says owner. And what was your explanation to me, which is amazing.
Well, we basically rotate that duty between the brothers over the years. It just about every 3 or 4 years, someone else will step up and be the CEO. Someone will be the secretary, treasurer. It's important that we understand those duties and what it takes to fulfill those duties, but also, you know, I like to do other things besides having to worry about the management of the printing company. When I do have that duty, I take it seriously, but we rotate it, and that's part of. I think that's part of our success, and because we tend to appreciate each other in the decisions that are being made at those levels. So
Yeah, and I think that decision vacuum with families, whether it's brothers or it's cousins or whatever the relationship is, that's where things usually get murky. What I've seen.
right, right, I agree, and it's it's those situations. I've participated in a mastermind group, a peer group of industry printers across the country, and we would meet, and most of us were family-owned businesses, and we had the family dynamics that were sometimes issues that we would have to help each other solve. And like I said, separation of duties. Basically, everyone has a job, whether it's the sales, the marketing, the management, the production manager, customer service, whatever those may be. CFO, those duties are separated, and you're responsible for the duties that you have at hand. And but you also respect the others that are doing that job, and you don't step on their toes just because they don't always agree with what you want, the direction you want to go, or how you want to service your clients and or service your employees or your vendors or whatever. So it's all in all. It's we're in it together. We're in it to win, but we also have the respect for one another at the end of the day.
Which is key, whether you've got family or anyone in your business, is that
Right.
respect factor. Are there any third generation Mackenzies in the business?
No. My children worked in the business. My nephews worked in the business. Uh, my youngest nephew, JP McKenzie, my brother's son, he has a coffee shop up in Gainesville called Metal Arc Coffee. He has an entrepreneur spirit, but he's also a musician as well. So he likes to play music, but he's in the service industry, has his own coffee shop, but he and his wife also do wedding photography. My other nephew is uh, an executive at J.P. Morgan. He's a financial analyst, and he enjoys that. He works with a lot bigger companies than Documax Digital Printing. Uh, and then my daughter is a special needs teacher, or she now works at the Marcus Center for Autism, and is a caseworker there. And then my son is a farmer up in Michigan, and he grows cannabis. So it works for he's a senior director of cultivation for a cannabis company up in Michigan, and that's what he does. So maybe if my grandkids grow up fast enough, they might want to do business.
Well, and you speak of that. That's one thing when you and I talk, we can talk about it forever. Is we're part of that exclusive club that is the greatest club of all, which is the Grandparents Club.
That's right. That's right. That's the one of the biggest blessings I have, and I'm grateful for it.
Same, same. Talk about the printing industry. I remember as a young buck, one of the jobs I was interviewing was a printing company back in Chicago in the late 80s. And it was all about, running to law firms and documents and printing and, running around the loop trying to do that. And the business has really changed. Talk about the evolution of just the printing business in general.
Well, well, So we were a quick print franchise. It was basically, well, we were small format, quick, quick run, quick turnaround, and mostly B2B, a B2B business play. Basically, our clients were uh, banks, law firms, accounting firms, small and mid-sized businesses, restaurants, private schools, and they still are. But when we got rid of when we got out of our franchise, at that time we were doing a lot of litigation copy work for several law firms in town, and so we thought we were going into the documentation business of doing litigations and multiple copies and that type of work in the legal industry, and it was a good part of our business, but it became commoditized very quickly. A big player came into town and basically put in facility managements in all these law firms and commoditized the copy. He would charge for removing a staple would be very expensive, or taking a paper clip off a document, but he only charged like maybe a penny for every copy, where at the time we were charging about 12, 15 cents per copy. But we would included in that, well, we would remove the paperclip and the staple and put a staple back in. Well, he charged for all those other services. He charged only a penny per copy, but every time he put a staple in, it was a nickel. The paperclip was a dime. So uh, at the end of the day, it became more of a commodity, and there wasn't a lot of value in that. Everyone was saying, "Well, just do it the cheapest way you possibly can." And so we changed our name to Doc QMax, thinking that's kind of the direction we were going. And we realized that the profit in our industry was providing the value and the marketing and branding services that our clients needed. So their pocket folders, their banners, their the stuff that they were presenting to their clients to promote their brand and their image. And we realized that's where the value was in our business. And that's kind of the direction we went back to, almost a traditional uh, printing company. We used to have a big four color Heidelberg GTO on our floor, several smaller Heidelbergs, a big 28-inch single color Heidelberg that we ran, and it was about producing brand, image, quality, and but with the way technology started evolving, it became apparent that static printing was not the future. The digital printing is where the future is. So I can produce a mailer for you, and I could put your name on there, personalize it with your name, your brand, your photo, your image, and I can pretty much send that same message, doing the same thing for 300 other people, putting their name, their brand, their image on that piece, and it's what we call variable data. It's basically taking a data set and being able to produce something that's personalized, uh, still the same message, but it's personalized and catered directly to you and what your needs are. So.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, I mean, the service your company provide, I'll speak. I mean, it's white glove. I mean, if anybody's watching our podcast on the back on the video, there's a banner behind there that I needed done for a marketing event for myself, a branding event, and I called Mark McKenzie, and not only were they able to get me, and you were able to get me that banner in the time frame I needed it, and I didn't come to you the day before. I'm sure
yeah,
I wouldn't have been the first one that
yeah,
did that, but I did. Probably about a little week or so,
right.
week or so before. Not only were you able to help me get that banner and get it to me in the time I needed, but I had a logo that you were able to take for the show, and you were able to vector that logo, which I'm into. So I actually looked at you as more of a printing company. You were almost like a kind of a marketing. You were helping me with my marketing and branding as well. So it's a lot different
Right.
than I even expected.
Well, thank you, and that's really that's the value add that we try to offer our clients. I'm not saying we're the best in graphic design and art, and we uh, but we do have a little bit of experience and a little bit of knowledge. We're not real. We're a printing company. We work with a lot of marketing companies to help us provide those services to our clients. And with that being said, though, we've been around long enough that we kind of know what you probably need. It may not be
Hmm.
what you want, but we
Hmm.
know what you probably need, and we're
Right.
willing to work with you to get you to that point of what you want as well as what you need. So
Yeah. Well, it's simple things like, yeah, I mean, I didn't need something, too elaborate,
right,
but you gave me more than I expected. And that's what it's all about is, getting the customer what they need.
that's right. Well, and that's it. At the end of the day, it's basically meeting the customer where they're at, not where you want to
Hmm.
be. And
Hmm.
if you provide that value time and time again, you're going to have consistent customers over the long haul.
So next year will be the 50th year for Documex digital
Right.
printing. And that's a big milestone. As a business owner, give some perspective on that's and you've been involved with the business pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, Give some perspective on, from entrepreneurs out there as yeah, having a business and having that longevity and some thoughts on, and some perspective. I'd love to hear from you.
Let's take a moment for a quick word from our sponsor. This episode of the Growth Catalyst Show was brought to you by Transcendent Sales Solutions. Whether your company is facing uncertainty, declining sales, or resource limitations, Transcendent Sales has the solution. Their team has decades of experience helping businesses find alignment to meet their growth goals and transforming underperforming sales organizations into revenue-producing market leaders. They take a hands-on, results-oriented approach to solving sales challenges. Visit transcendentsales.com to learn more and subscribe to the bi-weekly Growth Catalyst newsletter for insightful growth strategies. Transcendent Sales Solutions, empowering businesses to reach new heights. And now back to the show.
Well, first of all, we're lucky, we're blessed, and we've had our challenges. We've had a lot of ups and downs. One thing that I'm going to just tell you is something that was preached to us a long time ago. My dad said, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with success. You want to be a millionaire, surround yourself with millionaires. You want to be a contributor to society, surround yourself with contributors to society. So find yourself a great accountant, find yourself a great banker, find yourself a great attorney, find yourself, you know, inspiration, people that help you inspire what you do. Continue education, always be learning. You can't stop. Uh, when you need help, ask for it. And the other thing is a dance instructor because you have to know how to pivot and dance. When things change, you have to know what direction you need to step and understand. And sometimes you might take two steps in the wrong direction, but you need to know how to pivot and work your way around because there's ups and downs in businesses, and we see it. I mean, COVID is a prime example. It's something that no one has ever lived through that I know of. That it changed the market and the dynamic of doing business, and uh, it's a challenge. So when all your customers are on Zoom doing Zoom meetings with you, but they don't want print because they're not interacting face to face with people, they basically are saying, well, what service or value can you provide? Well, it just so happens that email boxes were overflowing with spam and junk, and no one was having the opportunity to actually go through it. But the mailbox outside your door was pretty much empty. So it kind of like market where your competition is not marketing. So put your message in a mailbox. People go out and they still want to go see that mail moment is what we talk about it in our industry is when someone opens a mailbox and they see something that's personalized with their name, whether it be a holiday card or a birthday card or just even a sales flyer. But when it's personalized with their name and their needs and their wants, uh, it's a pretty powerful message. And that's what you have to do is you have to learn how to pivot and go where the others aren't. And uh, in in our basically the 49 years we've been in business, we one of the first things we did was we surrounded ourselves with successful people, whether it be our industry, people in our industry. We go to the industry shows, we talk with other people in the same industry as us. We try to learn as much as we can about our industry, uh, and then also having friends that are your accountant and that are your attorney, that you're a sales coach, a mentor. All those things are valuable. And you look at Tiger Wood. Tiger Wood has three or four coaches. So but he's the best of the best in the golf
Mhm.
community. Uh, you know, he might need a couple other coaches for other things, but my point is that you have to have
Yeah.
you have to have somebody that can give you
Mhm.
real positive feedback and also help you with your struggles, because we all we hurt our backs, so we need a chiropractor that can help adjust us, or a physical therapist, or you need a fitness coach, when your health is not good. Find somebody that can help you. And that's really one of the messages that I anybody says, well, how are you been around for this long? I found people that could help, and also not being afraid to ask for help when you need it,
Mhm.
which is important.
Very true. And some of the greatest coaches I know, which surprised me, is they have coaches as well. You
Yeah,
know, they coach some of the best, and you know how they stay at the top of their game because they have coaches too.
yeah,
So,
that's exactly right.
so I remember one of the times that I had first met you, and I was in a group, and I heard you talking to people, and I heard you say, you always need a wingman, and
Right.
you never want to eat alone. And I looked and I said, I don't know this guy. This guy sounds like a player. This
Yeah,
guy sounds like a player here. And then I realized as I got to know you, of course, it's about your philosophy on networking, which you are one of the most, you're very well known in Atlanta. That's why affectionately, and I'm not the only one, calls you Mr. Mayor. But you have a way about the way you network that I think is unique, and it's real and it's intentional. And I know that's been a big part of how you've and your brothers have built DocuMax.
it is. And so as hard as it is to believe, I'm somewhat of an introvert. I would rather sit at home, read a book, you know, uh, piddle around, not really do anything. But as part of being accountable uh, to those I'm surrounded by, one way to do that is when I go to an event, I invite, and I don't usually just invite one person. I invite several people, because if you invite five, you might get one that says yes. So uh, you use those numbers. But I never network alone. I try to never go to an event without bringing a prospect, a client, or a friend to that event. And it works both ways. I'm able to make introductions to the wing person that I have, the wingman that's present, or wing people. I mean, we were at an event that I was participating in, and I think I had 18 people at that
I was
event.
one of them.
Yeah, that's right. And you knew several of those people in the room,
Did.
but the thing is that there were people in the room you didn't know. And
Mhm.
it's important that kind of being a connector, connecting the dots, finding people that have the same interests, the same energy, the same passions, and connecting those people. And that's really become a passion of mine. It's something that I read a book. It's Never Eat Alone by Keith. I forgot Keith's last. Sorry, that's over on my bookshelf somewhere over here. Uh, but the book is Never Eat Alone, and it's basically you go to an event, you go to a lunch, you go to a breakfast, have breakfast with somebody that is meaningful. You have a meaningful conversation and connection with those people. Go to lunch, eat lunch with others. Go to dinner with others. It's usually my wife or my children, but it's still meaningful and it's impactful. But when I network, I never network alone. I always invite people to come, and that's where the value of relationships start to build and last, is because if I can introduce you to somebody and the two of you actually do business with one another, at the end of the day, every time you two see each other, who do you think of? You think of Mark McKenzie because I introduced the two of you. So that helps me stay top of mind, which is
Well, which is key. It's
yeah,
top of mind. I agree. So I went and looked it up. It's Keith Ferrazzi.
Farazi. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I had read that book, but I'm going to actually get it.
yeah,
Um, you mentioned something you said about being a connector, and the
right.
one thing I love what you do is I've seen the super connectors. Anytime I see the word super connector, I get worried
Yeah,
because sometimes I've seen that words there those folks are just trying to connect somebody to somebody just to check the box, but you're so intentional about your networking and how you do it. And where did you learn? I mean, because we're all trying to how did you learn to do it as an introvert? By the way, I'm an
yeah,
introvert as well. It's
yeah,
how we recharge ourselves. It's how we recharge ourselves is what defines us. It's not what profession we're in, which I
right.
know you know that.
Yeah, that's right. So, like I said, is always learning. You know, basically, Dale Carnegie. There's a book. David Alexander is a longtime friend of mine, and Brian Hart. I can't think of Brian Hilliard. Excuse me. They
Hmm.
wrote a book with Ivan Meisner, who Ivan is the founder of BNI, and the
Hmm.
book was a bestseller, and it's called Never or Networking Like a Pro. And I read that book, and it made me realize that there's value in networking, but there's more value in helping others connect with each other. And it part of it is the upbringing. I my friends were my brothers and sisters, even though I went out and found other friends in the community. Whenever it'd be raining outside and we were able to play Monopoly or cards or whatever, I didn't have to go to someone else's house. I had an instant friend right there at our table. So you learn through our upbringing. I think we learned that be kind to one another. And the other value is I like to talk, and I have to catch myself because I will talk about myself forever. But the real value in connecting others is listening, is finding out what they're passionate about, um, and what they do, and then finding that. And when you run across somebody else that has those same passions, it's like, oh, yeah, the two of you should meet. Not because there's business dollars at the end of the day. It's because the two of you have the same passion for the same things, and making our world a better place. And
Hmm.
eventually the dollars will come around. And we have a mutual friend. I think that uh, Hal Sellinger is he's uh, he basically fosters dogs, golden retrievers,
Hmm.
and he's fostered 100 of them or more. I think it's 100 plus now. And for me, somebody that cares enough about animals, that's willing to sacrifice their time to try to make a better place in this world for those animals, as well as the people that those animals touch. And that's I can't sing enough praises about that individual. Now, I don't use Hal's services, but I do praise Hal on the things that he does. Uh, he has a sailboat, and he takes his clients sailing instead of going out and playing golf. He takes his prospects and
Hmm.
clients sailing, and that's where you basically have to find what others want, where they want to be sold. And some people want to be sold on a golf course, and some people want to be sold on a sailboat. Others want to be sold at the ballet that your grandchildren's are the performance your
Hmm.
grandchildren are putting on, because you have that same interest of grandchildren. or
Hmm.
dogs or cats or whatever. How do I learn it? Trial and error.
Hmm.
I think that's a big part of it, but it's like anything else, you got to practice. So I go out and I practice,
Yeah.
and some days I do a lot better than others. I'm just saying I'm not the best at all of it, but some
Mhm.
days I'm pretty good. Uh,
Yeah, well, we all have our good and bad days, and a couple points that you made is you don't know how to meet people unless you listen, and listening is so key because you
right,
you don't because a lot of times, as people are thinking about what they're going to say next versus listen what somebody says and finding their passions. And one thing I wanted to ask you is I know you have a lot of passions, and one of them is golf for the kids,
right,
and you've been a co-chair of that organization. I think you're coming up on your 15th year event
right.
coming up. So talk just talk a little bit about that.
So I've been active in this event for 16 years. We're coming up on our 18th year,
Okay.
and it's basically Angie Rakup is the founder, and she and I met at a networking event, actually at a horse farm. We knew each other previously, but we really didn't know each other until we were at a horse farm up in Dalton, and they were selling $1 million horses, Egyptian Arabian horses, and I didn't have that kind of money in my pocket, so I was looking for people to talk to that might have that money, and Angie was one of them, and we hit it off. She basically started showing up to our event prior to the golf outing that she was doing, and she was looking for golfers and sponsors and people to donate. And I just said, "Well, look, I'll play. I'll get a foursome. I'll play in the tournament, and let me sponsor the signage. The T signs. We can print the T signs in the banner for you, and whatever other collateral you might need." And that was year 3 is when we actually started doing that. And I just told Angie, I said, "Well, you can grow this dramatically." I said, "It's for a great cause." We basically our tournament benefits Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and the Aflac Cancer Center. The first $15,000 we raise is earmarked specifically for the Canine for Kids program, which is putting golden retrievers and whatever other dogs, therapy dogs and service dogs into the hospitals. I think currently they have about 16 or 17 service dogs roaming the halls at Scottish Rite, Eggleston, and at Children's, and uh, they help with the healing process. And we basically, I just said, "You could grow this tournament," and she says, "That's good." And I said, "Well, who's helping you?" And she was the only one doing it. She got a little support from the financial firm that she worked for, and I just said, "Well, you need to think about getting some advisors or helpers." And she said, "Good, I'm need an advisory board, and you're the first person to join." And uh, she basically told me I was part of it, and
That's Angie.
yeah, that is Angie, and God bless her. We love her very, very
Hmm.
much. And
Yeah.
but she she allows me to contribute, and that's part of running successful operations and organizations is let the people shine where they shine and let them take the handle and run with it. And she's very good at that. And so she made me the co-chair after like year 3 or 4, 5 or 5. I don't know exactly when, but I was on her advisory board where we have about 15 or 16 members on the advisory board, all wonderful people. We have several friends of the board, which are past advisory board members that still contribute and participate in our tournament. And this year, I think we have completely sold out of sponsorships and foursomes. We're still looking for the donations and the dollars, and uh, because it's going to a great cause. It's
Amen.
battling childhood cancer, and when you do a tour of the hospital, and you see some of these kids that are just had chemo 2-3 days prior, they're feeling terrible, and that you see infants in incubators, it's a challenge. And then when you get ready to leave the hospital, you realize that, you just may have viewed a child that may not survive their battle with cancer. And, but they're still in there struggling, and fighting, kicking tooth and nail and fighting whatever. And it's a challenge. And there's, it's not only the children, but it's the families that are
Hmm.
involved in that. So it's for a great cause. Um, it's to help us. It's my way of helping with the war on cancer. And
Wow.
I'm passionate about it. I enjoy it. I think that that's part of being blessed as a business owner in this community, Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, you know, you have to give back.
Hmm.
It'd be nice to keep all that money in your pocket, but it just wears a hole in it. You might as well share those blessings. So,
Amen. Well, Mark, I am blessed to have gotten to know you over the last year, and you are more than Mr. Mayor. You are a community leader. You're a servant leader, and you lead with your heart, and that's why I'm glad to call you my friend. Um, Last question is if anyone listening wants to learn more about Documents digital printing or golf for the kids, what's the best way to find out and reach out to you?
well, golfforthekids.com
Okay.
is where you find out about our tournament. Um, www.documax, DOCQ is in quality, max.com is our website to our family business. We would love to help anybody that has a need, and we can help them. We'd love the opportunity. That's what it's all about.
Mark, thank you for taking some time on the Growth Catalyst show today. You gave us some valuable insights that I can't wait for everyone to listen to.
Dan, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and I do appreciate our friendship. And I look forward to many, many, many years of friendship with you. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Growth Catalyst Show. Remember, you can take these stories of growth and make them part of your own journey. Learn from them, draw inspiration, and let them guide your path of growth. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, and I look forward to our next journey together. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, keep growing.